Hi, Theo.
Hello, Anna, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm very happy to see you today. Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Litovkina, and today I'm recording an interview with Theo Huffman. Before I start this interview, Theo, could you tell us a couple of words about yourself?
A few things about myself.
Yes.
I'm American by birth, but European by choice. I spent part of my childhood in Germany, and I've lived in Hungary for 28 years now. So I consider myself a European at this point. And I'm a lifelong mystic. I was exposed to a lot of esoteric and mystical thought very early in my childhood, and so it has basically been part of my life ever since I can remember.
And I have heard that in September you will have a workshop, a 5-hour workshop entitled Enhance Your Resilience to Thrive in Uncertainty. And today's interview is, first of all, about resilience. Secondly, it's about how to be resilient and how to thrive in uncertainty. And last but not least, I would like to ask you a number of questions about your workshop. When will this workshop be exactly?
The workshop is going to be on the 12th September. That's a Saturday, and it will be 5 hours. It will run from, I believe, noon until 5:30.
Okay, but before I ask you to tell us about your workshop, I would like to ask you a number of questions about resilience and about uncertainty. There is a wonderful proverb in English: nothing is certain but death and taxes. And especially nowadays, because of this coronavirus pandemic. I mean, I know about myself how many plans I have changed, and I know about everyone else nowadays. So we do not know for how long the pandemic will last. We do not know when, for example, some people can go to school, or some children can go to school, or when you can fly to your country. I was born in the Soviet Union, so for example, nowadays there are hardly any flights from Russia to other parts of the world, and we can continue. So, what is resilience, and how can being resilient help us in such troubled times as this coronavirus pandemic?
Resilience, I think, can be summed up in two expressions, and one of them is basically stability. So resilience is the ability to maintain a certain amount of stability no matter what's going on around you and in you. And the other is the concept of bouncing back. Resilience is the ability to bounce back. If you're in such a physical and psychological and spiritual condition that some kind of crisis or some kind of misfortune lays you flat for weeks at a time, that's not very resilient. Even though, mind you, there are things such as a death in the family or losing a job or things like that where it's proper to be laid flat for a couple of weeks or something you need to recover from. But you know, your everyday kind of problems, you should be able to just go, oh, okay, move on. You should be able to bounce back, and that's what resilience is about.
And how do I know if I am resilient or not? Can you tell me, for example, what should I tell you that you decide if I'm resilient or not, or can I decide it myself if I'm resilient?
I think you can decide for yourself. It's I think everybody has this kind of experience of dealing with a crisis, a problem, and then noticing that it seems to be taking too long to recover.
Mm-hmm.
That the toll that this particular experience is having on you and your life is out of proportion to what it should be. And if that's your experience, that you feel like it's taking me too long to get over things, then you could use more resilience.
Mm-hmm. Theo, maybe about half a year ago, I had a workshop, The Psychology of Happiness and the habits of happy people. And one of the participants, after this workshop, came to me and she said that now I just realized how unhappy I have been since I lost my husband. And I asked her, like, when your husband died, and it was just maybe like 15 years before that. So, and imagine, and she said, and she told me that every single day after the death of her husband had been a very unhappy day. So, for example, for a person like this, we can say that she was not resilient.
I would hesitate to characterize that way. And one of the things I'd like to emphasize is that I am a trainer of various sorts. I've given training in corporate soft skills. I've given training in martial arts. I've taught languages, et cetera, et cetera. I even teach meditation, but I'm not a therapist. Mm-hmm. And so if somebody comes to me with something that I identify that's beyond my scope, that there's a problem bigger than I should deal with, then I will recommend somebody to go see somebody who's competent in that area. And this would be one of the cases. If somebody came to me and said, I've been unhappy for 15 years since my husband died, I might recommend that person get counseling of some sort. I mean, either with the clergyman at their church, or a psychologist, or anything, but somebody who is competent to deal with something like that. So I think that goes beyond like the resilience that I'm talking about.
Actually, this is what I also did. I recommended to her someone she could turn with this question.
I mean, her problem may have started with a lack of resilience. Mm-hmm. But then if it lasted 15 years, it went beyond. There's something deep there. She has my sympathy. That's a long time to feel grief.
Mm-hmm. And what is the difference between how people who are resilient and people who are not resilient face adversity? If we think about adversity like this coronavirus pandemic.
I think there are two elements to that. The one element is basically how strongly you've built up the foundations of your own being, and that is physically, mentally, and spiritually. That have you built up certain habits? Have you built up routines that strengthen you physically and mentally and spiritually? And this aspect of it has to do with, it's almost a dirty word with some people, but it has to do with discipline. That there are simply certain things that you're not going to acquire in life unless you decide that I'm going to do something 3 times a week, or I'm going to do something every day, or whatever the practice is. There are these things. That's the thing, the building up of your core, so that you have the energy and you have the emotional stability, and a kind of a vision of the future that keeps pulling you ahead. So those 3 elements. The other side of that is it's kind of this Zen type of being able to let go and being flexible, which I think has always been important, but it is increasingly important in the world that we live in now, where just simply the idea of what is work, and how do you find work, and how do you exist within an organization, and how do families take the pressure of change, et cetera, is that it has become more and more important for us to be able to simply look at situations and accept the fact that it won't go the way I want it to. I need to find an alternative.
And what do you think? According to some researchers, resilience is trait-like. So just like hardwired into our personality. And some other researchers say that you can learn it and you can acquire it in your life. And I myself, maybe for about 8 years, I have been practicing meditation, mindfulness meditation. My favorite person in mindfulness is John Kabat-Zinn. And I have done
the creator.
Yes, the father of
of
this kind of meditation. And I very frequently listen to his interviews, to his videos. At home, I have a number of his books, and he also talks very frequently about resilience. So, which point of view do you support? The first one, that it's just like in us, either we are resilient or not, or you support the point of view of researchers who say that that you can strengthen it, you can develop it.
I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to say both are right. But I think the absolute parallel to that is the debate about talent versus effort. And so that some people are more naturally musically talented, but experience has shown, research has shown that given the right circumstances and instruction, almost anybody can learn to play music or to sing or to what have you. So I think it's the same. I think some people are just naturally more chill than others. Some people take things more easily than others. Some people, either because of their physiological makeup or because of their life experience, have more anxiety than others. But beyond that baseline, I think it's something that everybody can learn. Everybody can learn to be more resilient. It can be learned. I know, for instance, myself, most people never suspect it. They always think that I'm one of those chill people they know, but I am somewhat of a worrier. That I have to be able to. Over years I've had to learn to deal with my worrying nature, and I've become more resilient over time.
And could you mention some strategies which can help us to build resilience?
Well, the first one that is everybody thinks of right away these days is meditation. There's nothing that really cuts through the level of anxiety that we tend to live with these days, like mindfulness meditation. The research on it is overwhelming. Most people don't know this, and I'll conspiratorially say that the reason we don't know about this is because scientific studies which show that you're better off meditating every day than taking prescription drugs don't get financed very well in academia. But nevertheless, there have been thousands, and I mean it, thousands, like maybe even tens of thousands of university studies done in medical centers and psychology departments and everywhere, directly measuring the effect, the beneficial effects of mindfulness meditation, and with very, very few exceptions, they have seen significant effects, beneficial effects on hypertension, anxiety, heart problems, digestion problems, you name it. I mean, I swear, you can name just about any malady of the human body and the human mind, and research has shown that that meditation has significant beneficial effects on it.
A few years ago, I attended a lecture of two psychologists who practice mindfulness meditation. They're from Oxford. In Oxford Clinic, they also have this meditation. There is this mindfulness meditation center.
Then there's the physical aspect of exercise, but it goes beyond exercise. You know, it's not just, I mean, naturally CrossFit training will make you healthier and make your mind more alert and make you more relaxed. But there are specific kinds of movements that are more effective than others. So somebody who does yoga and is more aware of like what's going on with the energy movement while they're doing yoga is going to develop some very good resilience. Different kinds of breathing exercises that go with martial arts, and so there is a physical component to it that harmonizing what's going on in your body makes you more resilient. It makes it easier to relax, and in general gives you more energy. And the third part is the spiritual aspect, is that especially nowadays, you know, people are feeling lost. You know, they don't know what the future is, and the key to getting past that is having self-knowledge, knowing who you are and what you're in this world for. And if you have a path, if you have some idea of where you are heading, and you don't allow circumstances to knock you off that course too far, or you can keep getting back on the course, that also gives you resilience. The idea of something to live for.
Actually, what you have just mentioned, I mean, everything makes absolute sense to me. I myself started doing yoga about 8 years ago, and at the very beginning of September, my daughter, who is a yoga instructor, and we're going to have a 3-day workshop. It's on mindfulness, yoga, and a hike retreat, and I'm going to talk about the psychology of happiness. And I remember when I started doing yoga, it was not only my body, so it was not like I could move much better. My back was like straight, but it was harmony, more harmony. And the same was true with this mindfulness meditation. So what could you tell us about this workshop? The workshop, again, I would like to read the name of your workshop. Is enhance your resilience to thrive in uncertainty. And nowadays, just like the whole situation is the time of uncertainty.
Yes. I'm actually thinking of renaming it the three keys to inner keys to resilience, but
okay.
That doesn't. But okay, doesn't matter.
Yes,
It's still early. It's still early days. What was the question?
My question.
I forgot.
You sent me some of your stuff about this workshop, and for me, the workshop was there. Seems absolutely fantastic. Could you tell us about the goal of your 5-hour workshop and what
Okay.
participants of your workshop learn
Okay.
from
Well,
you?
So I am also a corporate trainer. That is that I actually work inside a multinational company, giving training, and I took note of the fact that when the lockdown came, our company and other companies very quickly shifted in their learning and development staff, and we won't go into it. Anyway, there was a shift within the learning and development that an emphasis was made on resilience. Our company came up with several different methods of delivering different kinds of resilience training. For instance, I have done a few sessions online with a regional call all the way from Mongolia to Poland, from Lithuania to Afghanistan, that people were like 60 people on the call, and I was teaching mindfulness meditation. Or the last time, actually a week ago, I gave a session simply on breathing. Is like using different breathing patterns for either energizing yourself or de-stressing yourself. So I saw that this was going on in the corporate world, that and it occurred to me that this should be something that people should have access to privately as well. People who are entrepreneurs, or people who are still students, or people who work in companies who aren't delivering this kind of training to them. And the goal is basically for people to be able to live more purposefully. Because I think the situation that we're in, this rolling crisis, is one of its worst effects is all of the uncertainty that we're dealing with. We have no idea. For instance, I'm not even certain this workshop's going to happen. You know, that it's the 12th of September, and you're hearing in the news that no, there are more infections here, and they're going to lock down that border there, and you just have no idea. So this is the goal of this is to make people more stable and more calm, and to be able to follow their own vision of the future, to find their own track so that they can continue heading somewhere no matter what kind of chaos is going on in the world.
And could you tell us about the structure of the workshop? So I see that you have 3 sessions. The first session is about body, the second one is about mind, and the third one, of course, is about soul. Could you talk a little bit about each of your sessions?
Yeah, so I have been a practitioner of body-mind disciplines since I was in my 20s. So that's 40 years. I've done different martial arts and Tai Chi and Qigong, and I have a black belt in Aikido, and I've found a common thread that goes through all of them. And the first part of the workshop, so it's going to be body, mind, and soul. So the first part is body, where we are actually going to do physical exercises accompanied with certain kinds of breathing techniques. And the idea is to learn to feel energetic and to feel stable in situations of conflict. So we're going to be doing some martial exercises, but I don't want people to get scared away. People are like, oh God, martial arts, people are going to be beating on me. It's like, no, it's basically going to be things like pushing on people, on each other, and pulling on each other, but learning to use these movement and breath techniques so that you still feel centered, that you're not pulled out of your own consciousness and becoming a victim to someone else's consciousness. So that's the first part. Is
just one second. A few years ago, I read the book. It was about Aikido and conflict solving. Very interesting. I'm sure that you're familiar with this, and it's just like give a lot of examples with it. Aikido, how you should do it in the direction that, for example, you do not there. You are not really in this conflict. Somehow, how you can leave this conflict, and many other interesting things. I myself, when I was doing my first university studies, it was a very long time ago in the Soviet Union. I did for about 3 years. I did karate, and I really liked doing it. And after a while, karate was banned for a couple of years in Moscow, and then I was very disappointed. Okay, and
that was body. The next part is mind. I am a certified meditation teacher, and the first part will be about meditation, and I will do various variations on the basic mindfulness theme. And then the second part of that is going to be about visualization. Visualization is something that people have talked about a lot. It's something that's was made popular by the New Age. The problem being that a lot of people don't really understand how visualization really works, and so they don't get results, and then they figure, this visualization stuff is all a bunch of crap. But there are key elements of how to do a successful visualization that I will teach. I'll go through the steps, and part of it involves what people don't realize is, because the word is visualization, they think it's all simply about pictures in your mind, but it's also equally about your other senses, and it doesn't work unless you learn how to engage your emotions with it and make your emotions be the driving motor behind the visualization. So that's the mind part. And then the soul part, I'm going to lead people through various exercises in which they will explore their own lives and rediscover and re-examine times in their life when they were the happiest, or when they were the most active, when they felt the most engaged in life, and they felt the most alive. And we'll use various techniques for understanding what it was, what you were doing in that point in your life that was expressing your true inner self. And because when we are expressing our true inner selves is when we are the happiest always. And then from that to begin to devise a plan for how to move into the future doing the things that come from your soul and not from what other people are telling you you should do.
This is fantastic, fantastic. I have a certificate in NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming, and I myself have taken part in a number of workshops. And our psychologist and NLP teacher, for example, a few years ago, gave us technique when he calls it the place of strengths. When you imagine yourself when you are very, very strong, and you imagine yourself in the past, and something fantastic was happening to you, and you just were maybe the happiest, or some of the happiest versions of yourself. And I have a number of such moments and a number of such places. And one of such moments was, of course, when my daughter was born. It was the most fantastic time, especially when I was shown her. And another one was when I learned that I was accepted to university. So I was 17 years old at the time. It was Moscow Lomonosov University, and I remember it was my father and me. We went to the university. There was no internet, no mobile phones. So we were told when exactly we should go, and there were some lists on the walls of the university. And I remember how happy I became when I saw my name. And my father was with me, so he said that he should be with me. Either I know the most fantastic truth, or either I learn something terrible, that I was not accepted to university. And imagine, I started jumping. I was so happy. And very frequently, for example, in life, when sometimes I don't know if I will manage to do it, or if I will succeed or not, I think about that moment. And you're so right that you are using this technique. So I think about that moment, and it helps me. And such moments. And visualization, actually, what you have mentioned, we also use it in coaching, because I have also a degree in coaching. And in coaching, just like imagine your best future, and you just imagine it. When your client starts talking about the best future, you see the eyes, you see that the body is very different. So the eyes, the sparkle, and so on. Yeah, it's just fantastic. And where will this workshop be delivered?
This will be at the D18, which is a co-office space near. It's in the central in the central district.
I know. Yes, yes, okay. For me, it's very strange to pronounce the name of the street.
Deshepi.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Or no, it's not D18. It's D13 or.
I don't remember. Last year, I went to a couple of workshops there, and I also had a number of my own workshops there.
Yes, this is part of a series of workshops that are called You Unlimited, which are run by Alex McIntosh. And the You Unlimited workshops are all self-development workshops. They've had him. He has sponsored and run workshops on identifying goals. The last workshop they had before the lockdown was a creativity workshop run by an English novelist, and so it's part of a series of self-development workshops.
Fantastic. Actually, last year I went there first time, and it was the workshop which Alex had together with Jackie Das. So it was on goal setting, and I like that place very much. And afterwards, for about 1 year, I had my own workshops. They were also in English on self-development.
Yeah, it's a very comfortable space. It's a very comfortable presentation space, and there's a cafe in the front of the building, and there's a library. And because it's a co-working space, there are also lots of little nooks and crannies with overstuffed chairs and couches to go hang out on and have conversations with. It's a very comfortable, very, very good space to have a workshop like this.
Okay, Theo, what would you like to say at the very end of this interview? Any wishes? Not to me, but any wishes to people who are going to watch us?
I'd just like to say that don't let yourself be scared off by the feeling that you won't be able to do any of these things, because that's why we have workshops. You're there to learn. And I've been a trainer for a long time, and one of the things I pride myself on is being able to break things down into small pieces so that people can then take them and put them back together themselves. The aim is to give people a set of practices. I'm going to give you a set of practices that if you follow these practices, or even part of the practices, it will have a beneficial result on you. I want to give hands-on knowledge, not theoretical knowledge. We're going to practice things, and there's going to be opportunity to discuss your experiences after practicing them, and especially the part with the movement. A lot of people are a bit afraid of things that involve movement because they think, oh, I'm clumsy, I'm not graceful, and it doesn't matter in the least. You will have a good experience, and you will feel better in your body after you have done it.
Theo, thank you very much for your interview. I wish you to have the most wonderful workshop.
Thank you very much. And I hope you continue having interesting interviews.
Thank you. Thank you. The next one will be with Alex, just in a few days' time.
Okay.